So yeah, you know, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, man. So we had the death of Sid Vicious today. His son logged on Facebook and announced that he died of at age 63 of cancer. Know a lot of people in the past, a couple years have thought they were talking to Sid on Twitter. You weren't. It was a fake account the entire time. He was never on social media. Sid growing up for me was uh, like the first real bad guy to like beat one of my heroes. And looking at it, like I always liked Sid, even when I was a know nothing wrestling fan, like just a regular old, kid watching. I started, mainly, I started watching wrestling at Starcade '95, and then flipped over to the next year. By the time Shawn Michaels is the champion, he goes through that whole summer. He's beating every fucking big guy that comes along. And then I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like this Sid guy, because I wasn't watching, '95 and the NWA and stuff. They brought Sid back from injury to replace Ultimate Warrior when he stopped showing up. And then they set up a quick program to, basically take the place of Vader and Shawn in '96. Um, and he just like he defined aura. Like, everybody likes to talk about that word and all that right now. Like with Sid, and I know this is a little bit against the brand of One Nation Radio. We like the great wrestling matches. We like people that are pushing, the innovation and in-ring performance and stuff. It wasn't about none of that with Sid. Sometimes motherfuckers just looks cool, big, and intense, and like and jacked, and like he just was the man. Like that was his name. Like he was the man, the master and the ruler of the world. One of the most unintentionally hilarious wrestlers there ever was. This guy was someone you think about his career, and he was a bag of money everywhere he went. This was a guy you could not put in the mid card. This guy was a main event or nothing. Who do you know that has never wrestled at WrestleMania aside from in the main event? So like it's a very rare list. If you could find any other people at all that could do that. The NWA thought they had a future superstar in him. He's doing the deal where he's teaming with the Skyscrapers, him and Danny Spivey. He moved over to WWE. This guy wasn't afraid to quit or do whatever. This is how it was back then. Of course, you guys know about him getting cheered over Hulk Hogan, which was blatantly illuminating them days were fucking over for that racist essentially. And he was a guy that would get your favorite wrestlers booed. You did not want your favorite babyface wrestlers facing Sid. He was too dangerous. Like he would get them booed, and you just got to live with it. He goes to ECW. We saw that. We saw him in WCW later. After that, where he was power bombing people for his winning streak, which is absurd.
Is this where I come in?
Man, well I'm gonna jump back real quick.
Okay, we're gonna get back to
Yeah,
WCW, and yes,
yeah. This guy was the WWF champion. Kind of like as the rest of the card was exploding between the personal and professional relationships between like Undertaker and Shawn and fucking Brett and Austin. End of '96, early '97. This is like the most competitive time in WWE history. And Sid was largely the guy that had the belt because he was big, and and Vince had tried Brett, he tried Shawn, so he was always going to go back to Shawn, but he was like, all right, I can use this guy to kind of be a bridge. This guy's not a great in-ring worker, but somehow figured it out a couple of times against Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart for that matter. I think and he got his main event in '97, and of course WrestleMania was the biggest event in the world. This guy has so many classic sound bites. I don't know shit, crybaby. That's in the comments right now. I love Sid, always did. Didn't care that he didn't. It wasn't about the matches. Some people you just like, and some people are just over. Some people just rule the fucking world, and Sid was one of them. And you know, very sad to hear about him passing away, because this is like, I look at somebody like Big Bill, and I think he has some of that in him. And I think that we saw some of it this weekend, like, over in the UK and all that. But even Bill, is kind of, good looking guy, jacked, jeans, muscles and stuff like that. Sid just has a completely different look. No one looked like Sid. No one was 6'9" with the curly blonde hair in the physique like that, with the traps just up to his earlobes. Like, nobody had that. And this is a one-on-one guy. Like, it's tough. Like, I like to hope Big Bill can aspire to be somebody like a Sid, essentially. But James, I'll kick it over to you. Like, what'd you think about Sid?
Sid, as you mentioned, the unintentional comedy. Sid is one of the great finds if you go back through 90s pro wrestling. If you go through WWE or WWF, or you go through WCW, you stumble upon those Nitros and those Raws, and you're not it's kind of like Scott Steiner in that way, where it's like, this wasn't intended to be this funny, but it's fucking hilarious. And they don't necessarily know that what they're doing, but what they're doing is comedic gold. And charisma can take you a really long way in this business historically. And when you are that height and look like that, as you mentioned, he took it to main events of WrestleMania, not events. It's nobody can do what he did with that little amount of in-ring talent. No one else will ever be able to pull off what he did. He's one of the few guys. I think that me and Rich can agree on. That we were like, in the ring, stinker. Nothing really to offer except for a few highlights here and there as far as match to talk about. However,
you give me an all-time pro wrestling draft or something, I'm drafting Sid. If I get a chance.
That's what I was getting at. For a person to be that low on the 1 to 10 Bret Hart scale for in-ring performance, and me and Rich are still like, no, Sid was fucking great. No, nobody was ever better at very few people in the history of business were ever better at Sid while being worse at wrestling than Sid. It's a mind fuck. He's on one of those lists of people where it's like, there's no reason why One Nation Radio should like Sid. We absolutely love Sid. It makes no sense. So, you mentioned in passing the Powerbomb stuff to get this. Yes, when he was doing this shit with Goldberg, that feud, where he was basically, WCW had fucked it up, of course.
Yeah.
So, Sid made his own streak, and his streak consists of not actually beating people like Goldberg actually did, illegitimate streaks. For the first part of it, it turned into anytime he just powerbombed somebody, that counted on the number.
Yeah, y'all didn't know y'all was in a finisher only match.
Right. Yeah. And somehow, some way, if you ever watched that match is actually kind of fun. It's Goldberg. It is Goldberg being Goldberg. It is Sid being Sid. And Sid starts, starts blading. He has Goldberg in the camel clutch. His eyes are as big as CDs, while with the Crimson Mask. It made no sense why that program worked, but it did. It was actually good. It made no sense. And it involves one of the funniest things ever, where Goldberg or Sid parked Sid's car to park in the garage, and then he comes back and Goldberg crushed it in the cube, and then Sid runs out, sees his car in the cube. He jumps on top of his rental. He yells, "Goldberg! Goldberg! Goldberg!" He was just fucking hilarious, man. I would love to know if in retrospect he went back and watched shit, he's chuckling and stuff I was fucking ridiculous, or if he was so crazy that it's just well, nah, man, it's wrestling.
Turn,
you know what I'm saying? Some people are just, it's an act and they're in on the act. Other people aren't. Macho Man Randy Savage not in on the act.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't think what he was doing was funny. He was the funniest motherfucker ever. Sid is on that same thing of he doesn't realize what he's doing is fucking hilarious. He's a ridiculous person. He doesn't realize that. He thinks he's serious. He thinks he thinks that we think he's serious.
He was somebody that was a mountain to climb for pretty much every name of the 90s. You can go right down the list.
And you mentioned that, you know, if you're a babyface, your reaction might not be the way it's supposed to be. Like, I remember you used to talk about how, you know, going into that Survivor Series 96.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that again. Go ahead.
Okay, going into 96, he used to talk about how like he was fist bumping all the kids and the kids in the crowd, and they losing it for him. And it was like, looking rough, looking kind of rough, Sean. So yeah, you can elaborate for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
he used to tell the story all the every Blue Moon was fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah, so like this man Sid, and I think I'm gonna have to drop my background for a second to be able to completely demonstrate what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, all right. This guy Sid used to come to the ring. We'll talk about 96 Madison Square Garden. So this, you know, how I kind of looked at this match, it was like, yo, you realize like one of your favorites ain't got it that night, and they're in just an unexpected war essentially, and it's like, hold on, they might fucking lose. But this ring walk for Sid in Madison Square Garden, no reason for him to be this over. This is the like smarkiest smart crowd of the day, essentially, right? And this man, like, you see the doors open up, and then he just comes through that bitch looking like he doesn't give a fuck. Like he really believe, like he had been told he's getting strapped up. He's on it. He's like giving different, you know, small fist bumps to people, and everybody wants one. He gets to the end of the joint, and he just goes like, "Who's the man? Who's the man?" And then, like, you know, Sid, when he would get in the ring, one of my favorite things Sid used to do, this man used to kneel down on one knee. And the fucking pyro used to shit
with the
around.
big psycho Sid pyro in the back, and you hear that yes. like the murder horror movies like a sound. Yeah.
Look, I get this shit, bro. Like, that's Sid all day. Like, he would just get on one knee, put both arms out, start motioning to himself like, yes, it's me. That's who y'all paid to see.
I can't wait till like Trish and Sarah or Tunnel Talk hears and like, you liked him because of his inches in his pose. Like, it'll be like, this sounds like the least One Nation Radio wrestler of all time. How do y'all like him? Be like, hey, wait till we get to talking about Ming. Ming, same thing. A big bad motherfucker with aura exudes.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, like, you know, RP to Sid. I didn't know that what his health situation was after all these years.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, as a kid, he was somebody that you'll never, if you had watched him in that time, you would never forgot him.
Yep. You'll never forget Sid.
Absolutely not.
I'll always remember him for being like the first bad guy that I looked at, you know, when I started watching. I was like, hey man, like, I'm not rocking with that Stone Cold shit. He won't leave Bret Hart alone, but Sean, he in over his head on this one. I you done fought one giant too many. So I get it. I get it, Sean. You lost to him, like, and that man,
like, you got through Mankind, you got through Vader,
Diesel,
you ain't getting through Sid.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too much.
Yeah.
And you know, this man was powerbombing Jose Lothario's son, bro. I was like, man, fuck that. I'm rocking with Sid, bitch. Like, yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, right? Rocky 3.
Yeah.
They actually did Rocky 3 well on that one.
Look at that. But the master and the ruler of the world, rest in peace.
Yep.